she said, Yin, have you forgotten the time you were punished? You need to learn your lesson. When Jiang Yinyan heard the two words, Yin, his movements to remove her coat paused slightly. Gradually, his gaze became obscure and deep, an indescribable emotion spreading wildly in the depths of his heart. After a long while, he asked, learn what lesson? He took off her coat to make her more comfortable. Then he heard her giggle, Yin, you really are. She was still clinging to him. You were punished, and then you blamed me for not watching where I was going. Jiang Yinyan was taken aback. A slight bitter smile. Long-sealed memories from the past gradually opened up with her drunkenness. Their differences, stemming from their distinct upbringings, began with the incident of stepping on a manhole cover. That year, Yin had just arrived at the Yu family home. Though young, he could beat grown bodyguards until they cried for their parents. However, his formidable combat skills were one thing. His professional capabilities were another. When he first arrived at the Yu family, Yin's concept of a personal bodyguard hadn't fully formed. For instance, Yin was often out of his sight, and at that time, Yin was very obedient to Yin. Whatever she told him to do, he did. Even if she told him not to follow her, he wouldn't. Yin's accident was due to a manhole cover. Don't step on manhole covers. This was what Yin would say every time Yin passed a manhole cover. Yin would then ask him, why can't you step on manhole covers? Yin thought for a moment and said, I heard old folks say that stepping on manhole covers brings bad luck and lets you see ghosts. Not all girls would be scared senseless at the word ghost. Yin, for example, wasn't afraid. Instead, she asked him with a curious expression, really? Have you ever stepped on one and seen a ghost? Yin shook his head. He had never stepped on a manhole cover, nor had he seen a ghost. Because the idea of not stepping on manhole covers seemed to be deeply ingrained in him. People had told him repeatedly since he was a child, and even when he was very young, he considered stepping on a manhole cover a serious matter. Yin was quite disappointed to hear this. Until one day, while out, Yin sent Yin to buy her bubble tea. The car was parked by the roadside, and not far away, there happened to be a manhole cover. Yin gazed at it, and curiosity got the better of her. As if possessed by a mischievous spirit, she got out of the car and wandered around the manhole cover. She pondered whether or not to step on it. Just one step, and she could see a ghost? She hadn't seen a ghost yet. Besides, it was broad daylight with so many people around. Even if a ghost appeared and looked especially scary, she wouldn't be afraid. At the time, the driver had gotten out to answer a call and wasn't watching Yin. After making up her mind, she stepped right on it. First, she closed her eyes, then quietly opened them after stepping on it. People were coming and going all around. It didn't look like any ghost was coming out. Did she not step hard enough? Yin thought for a moment, then bounced several times consecutively on the manhole cover. And so, Yin, who had just bought bubble tea across the street, watched Yin perform a disappearing act on the spot. The manhole cover flipped open, and she tumbled down. Everything happened so quickly that no one around even noticed. Yin rushed across the street. Although Yin wasn't severely injured, scrapes and bruises were unavoidable. More importantly, she was filthy. Yin was a mess. After Yin brought her home, she holed up in her bedroom and wouldn't come out. She took several showers, making the housekeeper sigh worriedly. She's washing her skin off. It's enough to make one worry to death. Yun, doting on his daughter, was extremely displeased upon hearing about it. He reprimanded Yin for not looking after Miss Yu properly and punished him by making him stand under an old tree for a day without food. In truth, the Yu family didn't have a tradition of punishing subordinates. Bodyguards, for instance, had never been punished. Yin's punishment wouldn't be considered a punishment elsewhere, but in the Yu family, it was a truly unique and severe occurrence. It wasn't until late that night that Yin emerged from her emotional breakdown. Being someone who loved beauty and cleanliness so much, she took her mother's usual perfume and sprayed nearly half the bottle on herself in one go, finally sobering up. She was sobered up by the overwhelming scent. Everywhere she went, she was a walking bottle of perfume, and a supersized one at that. When night fell, Yin walked up to Yin. Yin was almost knocked over by the scent. He stared at her in alarm. Yin told him, I swear I've taken several showers, but the perfume smell is still pretty strong. She then handed him the insulated lunchbox she was holding. Eat up, dinner's quite good. Yin shook his head and said, no, thanks. He was quite stubborn. Yin said, it's fine, my dad is just making an example out of you. If you walk around freely and eat your fill now, he'll just turn a blind eye. Yin didn't listen to her advice. He wouldn't move until the time was up, and he wouldn't eat until the time was up. Yin stomped her feet in frustration. Yin, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? At that moment, Yin was actually quite angry too. After all, he had only just become a bodyguard and hadn't yet cultivated a calm and reserved personality. He said, what did I do on purpose? Did I intentionally make you step on a manhole cover? Did I intentionally make you fall down? Yunyan was a young lady for a wealthy family. Usually, those around her tried to please her, who would talk back to her like Ayan. Although Yunyan wasn't as arrogant and domineering as some other heirs of powerful families, hearing this still made her feel wronged and angry. She glared at him. You were the one who said stepping on manhole covers lets you see ghosts. What happened? I haven't even settled scores with you, and you're already blaming me. Yin was equally impolite. If I say you can see ghosts, do you believe it? Then if I say you can become an immortal by not eating or drinking, will you believe that? Others don't watch where they're going. Do you step on manhole covers without using your brain? Yin was truly angry. Her finger trembled as she pointed at him. How dare you speak to me like that? Yin frowned. What's wrong with saying that? I think you didn't fall hard enough today. You haven't learned your lesson at all. Yunyan was furious. Pointing at Yin, she said, You, stand for another day. But the next day, as soon as his time was up, Yin started moving around. Yunyan blocked him, puffing out her cheeks. Is your time up already that you're wandering around? It is. What's up? The time isn't up until tomorrow evening. Yunyan persisted. Yin looked at Yunyan, who didn't even reach his chest, and said, word for word, you don't have the authority to punish me. If you want to punish me, you can go ask Mr. Yu. Furthermore, falling into the well was entirely your own doing. Blame me for listening to you too much. Yunyan stared at him warily. What do you mean? It means that from now on, you will always be in my sight. Yin stated clearly, word for word. Yin was punished. Whether Yunyan learned her lesson or not was unclear, but Yin certainly did. From that day on, Yin's eyes were fixed on Yunyan. Even if Yunyan wanted bubble tea again and ordered Yin to buy it, he would refuse. Miss, drink fewer outside beverages. They'll give you a stomachache. But Yunyan loved outside beverages. She loved anything unhealthy. At first, Yin was truly uncompromising. Yunyan also threw caution to the wind. If he wouldn't buy it for her, fine, she'd go buy it herself. But before she could even get there, Yin would drag her back. If she struggled too much, he would simply hoist her onto his shoulder and carry her away. Later, Yunyan began to show weakness, no longer directly confronting Yin. Only she would suffer if she directly confronted him. This tactic proved extremely effective and worked every time for years to come. Piteously, she tugged at Yin's sleeve. Yin, please, Yin, just let me drink it. I promise I'll stop before my stomach starts to hurt. Yin was exasperated into a chuckle. How would you know when your stomach will hurt? His single question stumped Yunyan, but she quickly came up with a reply. Then I'll just take 10 sips, absolutely not one more. Is that okay? No. Yin. Yunyan gently swayed his sleeve, looking pitiful. Finally, Yin softened. He sighed, fine, I can buy it for you, but you have to stay by my side and not wander off, and, he emphasized, only 10 sips, you said it yourself. Yunyan nodded her head like a pestle pounding garlic. She obediently followed Yin to buy bubble tea. The bubble tea shop owner was a jocular person and teased them. Are you two siblings or a pair of childhood sweethearts? Though Yunyan was young at the time, she still had a maiden's heart, and her face immediately flushed at the comment. Yin seemed to dislike such teasing. He said with a serious expression, she is my young lady. Seeing his expression, the owner dared not say more. Yunyan was overjoyed, clutching the bubble tea in her hands. Seeing Yin watching her, she giggled, don't worry, I'll only take 10 sips. In the end, she sucked down more than half in one gulp. Only then did Yin realize he'd been tricked. Yunyan giggled charmingly. You can't go back on your word. You promised me I could have 10 sips. Yin narrowed his eyes slightly. How could such a young girl be so cunning? The result, it was indeed 10 sips. The cup of bubble tea was drained to the very bottom. Not even a single tapioca pearl was spared. Yin's expression was beyond grim. After that, for bubble tea and similar drinks, Yin restricted her to 2 sips. He wouldn't let her have even one more sip. Besides that, because of her unpleasant experience with the manhole cover, every time Yunyan passed one while shopping, Yin would remind her, don't step on manhole covers. Sometimes Yin wouldn't say anything. He'd just walk beside her, and if Yunyan accidentally stepped on a manhole cover, Yin would raise his hand and flick her forehead, claiming it was a northern custom. If you step on a manhole cover, you get a flick on the forehead. This must have been Yin's moment to openly pick on her. After that, Yunyan remembered. Whenever she saw a manhole cover from afar, she'd feel a pang in the back of her head, so she would walk around them. And after that, Yin was never punished again. So, when Yunyan said these words tonight, this was the incident Jiang Yunyan remembered. In fact, it was the only such incident. His subsequent constant proximity to her also originated from this incident. Jiang Yunyan sighed softly and stood up. His arm was instantly grabbed by Yunyan. Where are you going? He almost had to coax and persuade her into changing into loungewear, At least so she could sleep more comfortably. He ran the water, looking at her distressed face, and sighed heavily. Sure enough, when he carried her into the bathroom, she adamantly refused to cooperate until she was hunched over the toilet, throwing up so much that bile was almost coming out. And so, Yunyin, who even when drunk didn't forget about cleanliness, decided she wanted to take a bath. How to put it? Yunyin, when drunk, was far from well-behaved, completely different from her usual patient and emotionally controlled self. Even Jiang Yunyin had never seen her drunk before. Once at the Yu family's socialite gatherings, Yunyin had also drunk alcohol. While other socialites were drinking champagne and red wine, she alone drank beer with people, refusing all other types of alcohol. At the time, precisely because Yunyin was a wealthy young lady, others dared not say anything. In fact, many socialites even switched to drinking beer to curry favor with her. Yunyin was underage back then, and he had once worried about her drinking. Unexpectedly, when Yun heard she was drinking beer, he wasn't worried at all, saying, "It's fine, let her drink." It was only then that he realized Yunyin was fine drinking beer. She had a special constitution. When drunk, she could be unruly, dramatic. That was Yunyin. Even while bathing in the tub, she wasn't still. Several times she couldn't sit steady and almost slid under the water. With no other choice, Jiang Yunyin had to hold her down and help her wash. Yunyin started chattering incessantly, her words illogical and rambling, accompanied by several giggles. Those who knew would understand she was drunk. Those who didn't would think she was possessed. Just talking by herself wasn't enough. She still needed someone to humor her. So, Jiang Yunyin humored her while washing her hair, agreeing with an hum and aha, no matter what she said. After talking, she started humming a song. Yunyin was good in every way. Even her speaking voice was pleasant, but she was tone-deaf. The Yu family had a music room, fully equipped with all sorts of instruments, Western and traditional, wind, string, plucked instruments, and a complete set of custom-made, handcrafted drums. It was said that Yunyin had learned various instruments one by one, but she was a dilettante at everything she tried. Yun doted on his daughter. As long as she liked something, he would buy the instrument without a second thought, and then it would be put aside. It was said that Yunyin's ultimate goal in learning instruments was to correct her tone deafness, but after trying every instrument, she still sang off-key, so she simply gave up. She even had a plausible excuse. Nothing in this world is difficult, as long as you're willing to give up. At this moment, he didn't even know what song Yunyin was humming. It seemed not a single note was in tune, and coupled with her drunken state, it was utterly torturous to the ears. Torturing Jiang Yunyin's ears. He stopped singing. Alas, just as a drunk person doesn't know they're drunk, a drunkard also doesn't realize how wildly off-key the tune they're humming is. Not only did she not restrain herself, but she even burst in a loud song. Jiang Yunyin was getting a massive headache. He finally managed to wash her hair, but no sooner had he wrapped in a towel than she flung the towel off. Yunyin stopped singing. She started clinging to him instead. Her arms, like creamy white jade, suddenly wrapped around his neck. Jiang Yunyin was unprepared, and her movement made him stumble, immediately falling into the bathtub himself. Yunyin burst out laughing, pointing at him and shaking with uncontrollable laughter. The woman in the bathtub, alluringly flushed with the scent of alcohol and steam entwining, added a considerable amount of sensual atmosphere to the bathroom. Jiang Yunyin was still wearing his shirt and suit trousers, and they were completely soaked the moment he fell into the tub. His shirt clung tightly to his chest, his firm chest muscles clearly visible, and the smooth lines of his body were very striking. Yunyin stared at him, her laughter fading. She then let out a confused scrutinizing the man before her through hazy, drunken eyes. She leaned closer, looking him over from left to right. Jiang Yunyin looked down at her, his gaze gradually deepening. Yunyin reached out and suddenly pinched his face. "Oh, it's really you." Jiang Yunyin was torn between amusement and exasperation. Yunyin looked at him in surprise. "You've grown up so much. You're so much more handsome than before." Jiang Yunyin looked at her, remaining silent. Yunyin actively moved closer to him. Finding it too tiring to look up at him, she rested her forehead against his chest. Ian. She called his name. Jiang Yunyin's body tensed, and his thin lips were pressed tightly together. Ian, as if stubbornly determined to hear his response, she called out again. After a long pause. Jiang Yunyin responded softly. Each time that name left her lips, it was like a very thin blade lightly grazing his heart. Not a sharp pain, but a shallow, bleeding ache. Yunyin chuckled, her forehead still resting against him. "How did you grow up in the blink of an eye, Ian? If they saw you like this, they'd definitely pounce on you like bees finding nectar." Jiang Yunyin reached out and wrapped his arms around her, pulling her closer with a slight tug. He chuckled softly. "What about you?" "Me? Yunyan's head felt heavy and dizzy. Perhaps she had acted up too intensely earlier, expending too much energy, for now her words were slurred and she was no longer excited. She weakly waved her hand. "You're so strong. I can't tackle you." She wasn't entirely still in his embrace. Perhaps feeling something hard against her lower abdomen, she instinctively reached out to brush it aside. Jiang Yinyan's breathing deepened. Yunyan mumbled, "What? So big?" Jiang Yinyan felt a surging tide within his chest. He held her tightly, his thin lips pressing down. "Then it's my turn to pin you down." Yunyan, still hazy, looked up at him, her consciousness somewhat scattered. "Are you going to pin me down? Are you bullying me?" She pointed at him. "You're my bodyguard. How dare you bully me?" Jiang Yinyan's lips pressed against her ear, his voice low and husky. "Yes, it's precisely you I dare to bully." With that, his fiery kisses trailed downwards. "Ian." Yunyan felt weak all over. Jiang Yinyan's lips lingered on hers as he mumbled a low question. "What did you call me?" Yunyan was soft as water, wishing she could just meld onto him. She murmured, "Ian." "Call me again," Jiang Yinyan commanded softly. Yunyan's lips parted. "Ian." Jiang Yinyan couldn't help but tighten his grip, clasping her slender waist. That single "Ian" became a fatal aphrodisiac. Unable to control his desires, he lightly bit her lip and whispered, "Temptress." Yunyan slept like a log, and when she opened her eyes and checked the time, it was almost afternoon. The bedroom was dimly lit. It took her a long while to realize she was at Jiang Yinyan's home. The bedroom curtains had clearly been changed. Previously, they were thin sheer curtains that didn't block much light. Now they blocked light perfectly. When she opened the curtains, a flood of sunlight eagerly poured in, scattering brightness across the floor and reflecting dazzling brilliance. Yunyan couldn't adapt immediately. It took her a while, shielding her eyes, to adjust. She was indeed at Jiang Yinyan's home. Yunyan got out of bed. Her entire body felt as if her bones had been pulled out and tendons snapped, aching and utterly fatigued. Gradually, some memories returned. Passionate moments in this house, from the bathroom to the living room, then to the bed. The room bore traces of their intense intimacy. She had been drunk. Her subsequent memories were a blur. She didn't know how she got here. She only remembered Jiang Yinyan appearing in the private room. What happened after they got home? She seemed to have said a lot, but couldn't remember what. There was a note on the bedside table from Jiang Yinyan. He told her to rest for a day. Since that was the case, Yunyan also wanted to be lazy for a day. She was utterly exhausted. If she went to the company, she wouldn't be able to focus, and besides, it was already this late. As she dragged her weary body into the bathroom, her neck and chest were blooming with fresh hickeys. After taking a bath, she almost fell asleep again. There was food in the dining room, prepared in advance by Jiang Yinyan and kept warm in insulated containers. Yunyan ate very slowly, not because she was trying to recall fragmented memories, but because she was trying to stay awake, dozing off several times even while eating. Damn that Baijio. Damn that CEO Wang. And that Li Bai, his actions were simply despicable. Her phone rang. It was a good distance away from her. Yunyan didn't want to move an inch, but the phone rang repeatedly. With no other choice, she dragged her broken body to get the phone. The moment she answered, she flopped onto the sofa. Truly, she didn't want to move another inch. However, after the call connected, a few words from the other end left Yunyan stunned. "So, I suspect CEO Jiang broke off the cooperation with CEO Wang because of what happened last night." In the coffee shop, Bai Li told Yunyan this conclusion. Bai Li had made the call, asking Yunyan to meet. This was also why Yunyan was stunned. What couldn't wait until she got to the company? Besides, for Bai Li to proactively ask her to meet was like the sun rising from the west. However, Yunyan firmly believed one thing. Given the circumstances of last night, she should have grown a little closer to Bai Li. Bai Li surprisingly hadn't gone to work today either. After meeting Yunyan, she said nonchalantly, "I felt unwell this morning, so I simply took the day off. Thinking about what happened last night still makes me sick. How are you?" Yunyan said she was fine, then specifically asked about the cooperation project with CEO Wang. "I heard it from colleagues in the project team," Bai Li said softly. This morning, CEO Jiang personally gave the order to sever all cooperation with CEO Wang. Yunyan gasped. In fact, Zhongshe Group had quite a few cooperation projects with CEO Wang, making them strategic partners with multiple ties. This was also why CEO Wang had been so brazen at the dinner table initially. But in reality, who in this world can't live without whom? "And another thing has been circulating," Bai Li said softly. Yunyan looked up at her. "CEO Wang was robbed last night on his way to the hotel," Bai Li said. "Huh? Robbed?" Yunyan was astonished. Can you even encounter robberies these days? Let alone Beishur, even nationwide, such incidents are rare. There would be news that instantly trended on hot searches. But I haven't heard anything about CEO Wang being robbed. I don't know the exact details, just heard he was hospitalized, but didn't report it to the police, Bali said. Yunyan was even more puzzled. A robbery that injured someone? Bali looked at her and said, apparently, CEO Wang had one of his fingers severed. Yunyan was even more astonished. This doesn't sound like a robbery. It sounds more like a vendetta. All Yunyan could recall from last night was what happened before she got drunk. But Bali hadn't touched a drop, so she knew everything that transpired perfectly. Bali then recounted every detail of what happened last night, especially the way Jiang Yinyan looked at CEO Wang. It was as if he wanted to eat someone. His expression was particularly grim. Yunyan could well imagine what his face looked like when it turned cold. In the past, whenever she saw his stern face at the Yu family home, it always made her heart pound with fear. And the severed finger. Let me think. Bali took a sip of coffee, and as she put the cup down, some memories returned. CEO Wang seemed to have been pointing at you and saying some pretty nasty things, Bali said, looking at her. I won't repeat the insults, will I? Yunyan waved her hands dismissively. No, there's no need. My mental fortitude isn't actually that strong. I still care quite a bit when people curse at me. Bali looked at her with a hint of surprise. Yunyan caught her gaze and asked with a smile, what is it? Bali pondered for a moment. You're a bit different from what I imagined. Tell me more. Bali gently pushed her coffee cup aside, leaned back, and fixed her gaze on Yunyan's face. Then I'll speak frankly. Go on. Your reputation isn't very good. You're a wealthy young lady who gets whatever she wants, and your private life is a bit colorful. The bad reputation essentially boils down to your relationships with men. So, when you joined the group as CEO Zhang's special assistant, I honestly didn't think much of you. I believe someone with little work experience like you could only land that position through connections with men. Bali said this. Yunyan smiled faintly at her words, not interrupting, but continuing to listen. That's certainly blunt, she thought. But later, after our interactions, I found that you don't seem to be the type of person the outside world portrays, someone who only climbs the ladder through connections. You're very intelligent and hardworking. Even someone as difficult as Yang Li can't get the better of you. You're clearly an outsider when it comes to project matters, yet you manage to understand and familiarize yourself with them in a very short time, even offering pertinent opinions during meetings. This is quite impressive and made me realize that your reputation as a top student in business school wasn't just for show. Yunyan smiled faintly. It seems you've done quite a bit of investigating into me behind the scenes. It's a work habit, I suppose. For us working on projects, it's customary to understand the background, Bali said. So, you're treating me as a project to research? Yes, Bali answered without evasion. Yunyan didn't get angry. You know my relationship with the Jiang family. Don't you think I'm just taking advantage of my connections? If you had just settled in at the group and done nothing noteworthy, then I would absolutely believe you were leveraging your connections. But now, I genuinely have a different impression of you, Bali said frankly. And I understand it clearly. You already possess network resources, which is a unique advantage, and at the same time, you are very capable. This combination doesn't breed jealousy, only admiration. Yunyan subtly raised an eyebrow. So, you envy me? I do, Bali said, looking at her. But I think everyone who comes to this world walks their own path and endures their own hardships. Take you, for example. You've been through so much, and the Yu family is in ruins. If you had the choice, I believe you'd prioritize a harmonious family and healthy parents, wouldn't you? Yunyan smiled faintly, lowering her gaze to conceal the bitterness that welled up in her heart. Yes, it was true she was born into wealth, and true she grew up with a silver spoon. But from childhood, for all the riches she possessed, she experienced just as much danger. She was a young lady of means, never wanting for food or clothes, yet what she lacked was freedom. Now, she had that freedom, but the Yu family was gone, and her most loving father was no longer alive. Bali was right. If she had the right to choose, she would rather have been born ordinary, as long as her family could be together, happy and healthy. Rich or poor, everyone has their own destiny. In essence, everyone comes to this world for a trial. For each individual, life is like drinking water. Only they truly know its warmth or coldness. Back to CEO Wang's incident. There's no evidence to prove this is related to what happened last night, Yunyan said. Bali nodded. No evidence, indeed. Everything is purely speculative. I imagine even CEO Wang isn't certain who the culprit was. But he dares not report to the police, probably because he's 9 times out of 10 afraid of making a big fuss. Losing a finger isn't considered a big fuss, Yunyan thought to herself. Was it reattached? She asked Bali. That's quite a dramatic story. Actually, though, I only heard about it, Bali whispered. Apparently, CEO Wang rushed to the hospital with a severed finger, accompanied by Director Li. But Director Li was so incredibly drunk that she actually snatched the severed finger from CEO Wang and started saying. Yunyan was listening, but noticed Bali faltering a bit. Saying what? Bai Li seemed to be stifling a laugh, yet there was also a hint of embarrassment. She glanced around, leaned forward, and lowered her voice even further. That director Li, right there in public, started yelling at CEO Wang. How dare you expose your little brother in front of so many people? Are you trying to have a group session? And she went on about how he couldn't last 2 minutes even with medicine, basically spilling all the beans about CEO Wang's performance issues in bed. Yunyan imagined the scene and felt. How to even describe it? Who knows what Director Li was thinking? After dressing down CEO Wang, she just threw the severed finger aside. It was right at the emergency room entrance, and an ambulance happened to be coming, ran right over the severed finger, and that finger just, Bailey said, shrugging helplessly. Yunyan's expression was beyond words. She rubbed her arms, imagining the sheer pain. So, CEO Wang and Director Li, the two of them. Bailey scoffed. Otherwise, why would they have been heading to the hotel last night? Yunyan let out a sigh of dismay. So drunk. What else could they have done? You and CEO Jiang. Bailey looked at her. Yunyan started, looking up at her. Bailey seemed to be deliberating her next words, but Yunyan didn't let her finish. My relationship with the Jiang family is entirely open. There was an arranged marriage before. While I didn't marry into the Jiang family, I'm considered half a family member, thanks to old Madame Jiang's patronage, a sort of psychological compensation, I suppose. As for CEO Jiang, he usually appears cold, but he actually takes good care of me, mainly out of respect for old Madame Jiang. When we formally acknowledged the family ties, the old madam repeatedly instructed him to look after me. No wonder at all. Yunyan knew she wouldn't believe it. Someone as intelligent as her, who could deduce that Jiang Yinyan had targeted CEO Wang because of last night's incident and severed all cooperation, clearly wouldn't buy into the idea that it was simply looking after her. But Bai Li's cleverness also lay in her social acumen, seeing through things without explicitly stating them. That seemed to be the unspoken rule for adults in the adult world. You came to see me, but it's probably not just to discuss CEO Wang, is it? Yunyan shifted the topic. Or rather, she cut to the main point. Bai Li looked at her, smiling. You really are clever. Yunyan said softly, because our relationship isn't close enough for you to waste your break time to come find me, just for some gossip. Bai Li nodded slightly. That's true. She met Yunyan's gaze. But actually, you're the only one in the entire company who knows my true situation, aren't you? So our relationship has become very subtle. We're not particularly familiar, yet you took the drinks from me. Yunyan lowered her gaze, then looked up slightly. Yes, I know. Bai Li smiled faintly. So, you can probably guess what I was doing since I wasn't at the group this morning. Yunyan took a sip of coffee. After putting down the cup, she asked her, How is everything? The baby is healthy, I presume. You really did know, Bai Li said, shaking her head with a helpless smile. So, your knack for investigating people is quite impressive too. Yunyan softly said, I started to suspect when I heard you throwing up in the restroom. I'm sorry I privately looked into your affairs. As you said, know yourself and your enemy, and you will win 100 battles, Bai Li said, not blaming her. So, that young girl who brought the drinks during the first meeting, you got her at the last minute, right? And it's thanks to that bottle of drink that I was able to observe everything throughout the event. Bai Li had always been extremely cautious about her pregnancy. Not a single one of her subordinates had figured it out. But when she received that bottle of drink, she suspected Yunyan already knew. By last night, Bai Li was even more certain of it. You knew I couldn't drink because I was pregnant, and that's why you accompanied me to the social gathering. Yunyan nodded. I don't understand, Bai Li said, her eyes showing doubt. Why are you helping me keep this a secret? What do you think I should do? Yunyan countered. Report your pregnancy to our superiors? Bai Li subtly pursed her lips. I understand your reason for hiding your pregnancy. The major project team is facing personnel changes, and if Yang Li gets another promotion, the vice president position is very likely to fall to you. To put it bluntly, the projects you're currently responsible for are crucial, so important that they will determine your promotion prospects. If your pregnancy is revealed now, it would be a huge blow to your career. That's why you can't let anyone know. But, Yunyan sighed softly. Director Bai, your belly will grow larger and larger. Even if you try to hide it, it won't be possible, will it? In another 2 months, you'll start showing. Bai Li's expression was solemn. After a long silence, she finally said, I know. So, you've come up with a solution? Yunyan asked. Nowadays, employment pressure is immense, and the environment is incredibly competitive, especially in highly contested first-tier cities like Beishur, where countless newcomers are desperate to unseat those above them. Women face far greater difficulties in employment than men, and mothers, in particular, are often turned away by many companies. It was perfectly normal for Bai Li to have such concerns. Bai Li pondered, her brow furrowed. I plan to stay involved in the project, deeply embedding myself. When I truly can't hide it anymore, I'll take sick leave and work from home. Yunyan was taken aback. You're going to keep the baby a secret all that time? That's no simple feat. Bai Li's face was solemn. I have no other choice, she said, looking at Yunyan. Leaving aside that I don't have your background, simply in terms of age and my current situation, I don't possess the same advantages as you. I can only take this gamble. This is the most critical juncture of my life. Yunyan sighed. Different stages of life. How could one say there's only one critical moment? After a long pause, Yunyan looked up at her and asked, Does Yongli know about this? Bai Li stiffened. Yunyan's words were like throwing a hand grenade, followed by a deafening silence after it exploded. Bai Li stared in astonishment for a long while before murmuring, I think you've misunderstood. What does this child have to do with Yongli? She finished speaking with a look of chagrin, as such an explanation was akin to protesting too much. Yunyan was also candid, saying, Before I was just suspicious. Indeed, Bai Li's reaction now confirmed Yunyan's suspicions. Discussing this topic was actually very awkward. If not handled well, they could become thorns in each other's side. But Yunyan wasn't afraid, because this was precisely her goal. Bai Li was silent for a long time before asking her, How did you come to suspect Yongli? Yunyan sighed softly. If two people are together, there can't be absolutely no trace of it. From the way Yongli looks at you, I could tell one or two things, so I made an educated guess. Bai Li lowered her gaze, her face shadowed by a faint sorrow. Although she didn't answer directly, Yunyan knew her silence was tantamount to an admission. After a long pause, Yunyan asked, Does Yongli know about this? Bai Li nodded slightly. I told him last night. Yunyan was startled. She hadn't expected Bai Li to keep it from Yongli until last night. Bai Li looked up. The day you first arrived at the big project team to introduce yourself, I was upset about the pregnancy and misreviewed a set of data. Fortunately, Yongli discovered it in time, which prevented a major error. Yunyan instantly recalled the scene where Yongli had sternly reprimanded Bai Li. It turned out to be because of this. Have you two been together for a long time? Bai Li said softly, Not too long, just over a year. Yunyan sighed. The depth of a relationship can't be measured by its duration. She then asked, What's Yongli's take on it? Bai Li shook her head. After she told Yongli about it yesterday, he remained silent. Later, Bai Li asked him to take her home, and the matter had been left unresolved ever since. So, you still want to have the baby? Yunyan asked. Bai Li nodded. Yes, I want to give birth to the child. Yunyan looked at her. What if Yongli doesn't want to take responsibility? The child is mine, and I decided to have it. Whether he wants to take responsibility or not is his business. Yunyan also admired Bai Li's resolve. This kind of courage was not something an ordinary person would possess. Perhaps. Bai Li pondered for a moment, then said with a desolate look in her eyes, I suppose I feel too lonely. I just hope there's someone in this world with my blood to accompany me. Yunyan's heart trembled slightly. Then she felt a pang of sympathy. Bai Li's background information was quite easy to check. Her family circumstances hadn't been very good since childhood. After her parents passed away one after another, she lived with her grandmother. Relatives from both her parents' sides avoided them, effectively leaving her with no family. Bai Li had always been very strong-willed since she was young. She clearly knew that for a child from her background, the only way to get ahead was to study hard and get into an ideal university. So she studied diligently and assiduously, achieving excellent academic results, and finally got into a key university, studying in a priority department. Ultimately, Bai Li was a very intelligent person. After entering university, she didn't just bury herself in books, but actively participated in various activities, all while working part-time and studying. Other students typically took manual labor jobs, paid by the hour. But Bai Li was different. She started collaborating with relevant companies early on, taking on part-time roles that paid far more than her classmates in the same department. She also earned scholarships every year, sending all the money she saved to her grandmother. Later, Bai Li rented a place outside to make her part-time work more convenient, and she also brought her grandmother to live with her. Initially, everything was developing positively, but her grandmother eventually passed away due to old age, leaving Bai Li completely alone thereafter. So when Yunyan heard Bai Li say that, she immediately understood Bai Li's feelings. So lonely. Indeed. Although people are born alone, sometimes they fear loneliness. Yunyan thought. Thankfully, her mother was in this world, and Yu Wanzhou and Xiao Min were there too, otherwise her life would also be a desolate silence. Bai Li didn't dwell too long in somber emotions. She asked Yunyan, You're being so open, you must have a purpose, right? Yes. Yunyan didn't hide it. I want to get involved in the core project as soon as possible. Yongli is wary of me, and I don't expect him to roll out the welcome mat, so you are my target for alliance. Bai Li smiled. You certainly speak frankly. In professional interactions, networking for mutual benefit is key, and it's the same throughout society. Unless it's a deep friendship, no one wants to waste time on empathetic socializing. To put it plainly, human interaction is about the equivalent exchange of value, Yunyan said softly. Your difficulties and inconveniences that others cannot help with, I can. My difficulties and inconveniences that other colleagues cannot help with, you can. Therefore, we can mutually benefit in the workplace. You want to climb higher, and I want to delve deeper into the project. Neither of us can succeed by fighting alone. Bailey listened carefully to these words, showing no anger or annoyance. After a long while, she said, You're quite bold in stating your terms. Anyone else wouldn't agree, because this is tantamount to you holding leverage over me while I know nothing about your weaknesses. My weaknesses would be of no use to you. Just like your leverage is important to me. Director Bai, not at all. I'm not in competition with you. I'm not a colleague in your project team, nor am I a peer leader who competes with you. My request is simply to participate in the project. It's very straightforward, Yunyan said. Bailey smiled slightly. You've certainly convinced me. However, there's a very realistic problem before us now. Yunyan's expression turned serious. Can you guarantee that Yangli won't sacrifice a pawn to save a rook? Bailey lowered her eyes, remaining silent for a long time. Jiang Yunyan called, arranging to have dinner together. Although Yunyan was off today, she knew Jiang Yunyan's schedule and was surprised. Aren't you supposed to meet with dealers tonight? I sent the group's vice president. I'm a bit tired, Jiang Yunyan said. Yunyan thought she had misheard. Tired? Was he saying he was tired? That was truly a rare sight. Surprisingly, he booked a restaurant close to her home, about a 20-minute drive away after dinner. She thought it was still early, but after chatting with Bailey for a long time and looking around the vicinity, it was already getting dark. Yunyan hadn't driven, so she hailed a cab, intending to head straight to the restaurant. The car arrived quickly. She gave her phone's last digits, got in, and leaned back in the rear seat, thinking about the day's events. She thought about Director Wang, about Bailey, and about what a person with Yang Li's personality would do next. Thinking about it, she actually dozed off. It had something to do with last night's boozy revelry. Yunyan glanced at the time. There was still some distance to the restaurant, so she closed her eyes to rest. The thought that flashed through her mind was how much she just wanted to go home and sleep. Dinner or no dinner, it was fine not to eat. After that thought, she drifted off to sleep. When she opened her eyes again, she found the car was still moving, but it was dark outside the window. It was normal for winter days to be short, but Yunyan felt something was wrong. She had checked the time from where she hailed the taxi to the restaurant. It was a half-hour journey. She had called the car before rush hour, so the road shouldn't have been too congested. Yunyan spoke. Driver, have you taken a wrong turn? At the same time, she clearly saw the buildings outside the window. They were very desolate. This was clearly no longer in the city. Subconsciously, she reached for her phone. To her horror, she found her phone wasn't with her. Yunyan immediately stared at the driver with alarm. The driver was a woman, wearing sunglasses. When she first got in, the sun was setting, so it was normal for the driver to wear sunglasses. Yunyan hadn't thought much of it then. Now it was dark outside, and there wouldn't be any blinding light, so wearing sunglasses was very strange. The driver didn't speak. Stop the car, Yunyan commanded coldly. But the driver ignored her, pressing forward with full force. The surrounding light was dim. The streetlights seemed old and emitted light like fireflies. The car interior was gloomy, and the driver's face was hidden in the dimness. By now, Yunyan knew something was wrong. Was it someone Yu's family had offended in the past? But even so, why would they surface only after such a long time? But if not, then who could it be? She believed she hadn't offended anyone. Who exactly are you? What do you want? Yunyan narrowed her eyes slightly and demanded sharply. The driver reacted with a sneer. So even Yu family's young miss has moments of fear. I thought with Jiang Yunyan backing you, you'd be fearless. Yunyan was startled. That voice sounded familiar. Just as she was thinking, she saw the driver take off her sunglasses. Yunyan could see the other person's face in the rearview mirror, and at that sight, a wave of shock crashed over her. It was actually Li Bai. Suddenly, she remembered Bailey mentioning Director Wang being in the hospital. Li Bai, what is the meaning of this? Li Bai glanced in the rearview mirror, her eyes filled with venomous hatred. What do I mean? You're a pampered young lady. Of course, you wouldn't understand how difficult it is for people like us to climb up. Now, because of you, everything I have is ruined. Yunyan said coldly. What does whether your life is ruined or not have to do with me? You're committing a kidnapping now. Do you understand that this is a crime? Let me go now and return my phone, and I'll pretend nothing happened. Li Bai, since you know my background, you should know that what you're doing won't bring you any benefit. I don't want benefits. Li Bai gritted her teeth. Director Wang fired me and notified all my industry peers not to hire me. My career is completely ruined. He's a vindictive man and won't let me go in the future. Even if I die, I'll drag someone down with me, and I'll make sure you suffer torment until your dying breath. I think you're insane. Every wrong has its culprit, every debt its debtor. Go after whoever ruined you. What good does coming after me do? If it weren't for you, would Jiang Yinyan have gone after Director Wang? If Director Wang hadn't suffered, would he have taken his anger out on me? How are you sure it was Jiang Yinyan? Anyone with eyes can see it. He was just acting out of a fit of rage for a woman. Li Bai shrieked hysterically, like a madwoman. Yunyan, you shameless hussy. Isn't Jiang Yinyan your uncle? You even seduce your own uncle. You're a complete slut. Yunyan gritted her teeth. Thinking that Li Bai had her back to her, making her vulnerable, she lunged forward, intending to grab Li Bai's neck and force her to stop the car. Yunyan's heart sank. Impossible. How could she have been inexplicably ensnared? After getting in the car, she hadn't eaten anything, nor had she smelled anything unusual. There was no food in the car. If there was a smell, why was Li Bai fine? Her gaze fell on a mineral water bottle beside her hand, and she suddenly realized. That's right, she had drunk water. At the time, she had called several types of cars, thinking she'd take whichever arrived fastest. The fastest to accept the order was a private car service, which always provided mineral water. She happened to feel thirsty after getting in the car and drank some. Li Bai had tampered with the water. But this was too much of a coincidence, wasn't it? And she booked cars through a platform. How could Li Bai happen to get her order? There was only one possibility. That was, the car originally dispatched to pick her up wasn't Li Bai's at all. She got in the car, drank the water, and soon fell into a daze and a sleep. So even if the private car driver called, she wouldn't have heard it because she drank the tampered water, and because Li Bai took her phone. Li Bai, what exactly do you want? Yinyan tried her best to calm down. In this situation, she couldn't contact the outside world. Outside the car window, it was pitch black, apparently no longer in the city. What good will this do you? Li Bai saw through her previous intention and smiled grimly. Yunyan, don't think about saving yourself. It's useless. Do you know why I didn't tie you up? The dose of drug I gave you is plenty, a 3-day supply. Do you know what that means? She glanced at Yunyan in the rearview mirror. For these 3 days, you'll be completely powerless, but your consciousness will be clear. I want you to clearly experience the feeling of being defiled. The first thing Yunyan thought of was an aphrodisiac, like the one Jiang Zhe had used on her before. Don't worry, it's not an aphrodisiac. Li Bai, as expected of someone who could climb to a high position, had sharp eyes and instantly saw through Yunyan's thoughts. It will just leave you powerless, and the other party has a penchant for abuse. Yunyan became alert. The other party? Who is it? Don't worry, it's not CEO Wang. You have Jiang Yinyan backing you. He might have ill intentions towards you, but he wouldn't dare act on them. But this time I've offended him, and it would be effortless for him to kill me. I have to save myself. The other party is a power that CEO Wang wouldn't dare offend, but they have one condition. They're interested in you. Li Bai's tone was grim. It also serves to vent my hatred. Yunyan's head buzzed after hearing these words. She said, isn't your ultimate goal to save your life? I can ensure your safety, and it's easy for you to get away from CEO Wang. I can send you out of the country and give you a sum of money to guarantee you'll live comfortably, as long as you let me go. After hearing this, Li Bai laughed as if she'd heard a joke. You? Just you? Yunyan, do you still think you're the young miss of the Yu family? At this point, only a fool would believe your nonsense. You can't even take care of yourself. Where would you get money and connections? I don't have it, but the Jiang family does. Yunyan went all out. You also said I have Jiang Yinyan backing me. As long as I explain this clearly to him, he won't make things difficult for you, and he'll meet your demands. Bullshit, Li Bai said fiercely. If he really cared about you that much, he wouldn't let the matter of me abducting you go. Then have you ever considered that once something happens to me, he will definitely investigate to the end? Do you think you can escape? Yunyan, do you think you can go back after tonight? If you want to go back, you'll have to wait until the other party is done playing. By then, I'll have long since fled. And what can you or Jiang Yinyan do to me? Li Bai smiled hideously. It won't take long, just a few hours and you'll be across the border. By then, how could Jiang Yinyan know where you've been taken? Cold sweat instantly broke out on Yunyan. Li Bai said, you'd better give up those thoughts. If you're obedient, you might not suffer as much. Otherwise, what can't those people do? They have many ways to torment people. As soon as she finished speaking, the car made a sharp turn. Yunyan was caught off guard, and her entire body slammed against the car door. Perhaps due to the effects of the drug, she quickly lost consciousness. Yuan Zhou called Yunyan 5 or 6 times, but each time was met with a power off notification. He was right outside Yunyan's house. He didn't know what was wrong tonight. He felt restless, uneasy no matter what he did, always feeling as if something was about to happen. He first made a call to the nursing home. The nursing home informed him that Songlan's condition was all good. It was just that after her last illness, she always refused to take her medication and often threw tantrums. Later, Mr. Jiang called, and even came to the nursing home in person. Only then did Songlan agree to take her medicine obediently. Yuan Zhou was surprised by this news and pressed the nursing home for details. The nursing home staff were also puzzled to learn that he didn't know about it. I thought you all knew about this. They continued. After you left the nursing home, Ms. Song wasn't very cooperative with taking her medicine. Mr. Jung learned about this when he called to inquire about Ms. Song's condition, and he persuaded Ms. Song over the phone. Ms. Song was quite obedient to him. Later, when she again refused to take her medicine, Mr. Jiang came in person, and Ms. Song then took her medication. Yuanzhou hadn't expected Jiang Yinyan to do such things. After the call ended, he remained stunned for quite a while. After that, his calls to Yun Yin wouldn't go through. He simply drove to her house, knocked on the door, but she wasn't home. His unease deepened. He called Xiao Min. Xiao Min was working overtime, not with Yun Yin, and didn't know where Yun Yin had gone. Having no other choice, he could only call Jiang Yinyan. Jiang Yinyan was in the restaurant when he answered the call. He was somewhat surprised to learn it was Yuanzhou. When he heard Yuanzhou ask about Yun Yin, Jiang Yinyan said, "Her phone ran out of battery. Is she with you?" Yuanzhou asked. Jiang Yinyan said, "Yes." Yuanzhou didn't ask further, but a noticeable somberness could be sensed in his tone. After a long pause, he said, "I heard about you going to the nursing home again later." "Thank you." Jiang Yinyan didn't scoff, merely saying indifferently, "You're welcome." Yuanzhou had nothing more to say to him, so he ended the call. As soon as the call ended on that side, Jiang Yinyan here immediately called Old Lu, gave an instruction, hung up, and then called Yun Yin again. Yuanzhou was right. It was off. Jiang Yinyan walked out while on the phone. By the time he reached the restaurant entrance, Old Lu had already driven the car over. Seeing Jiang Yinyan get into the car with a grave expression, Old Lu asked in surprise, "Young Master Yin, what happened?" Jiang Yinyan didn't continue calling Yun Yin. Instead, he opened an app on his phone and replied to Old Lu. Something might have happened to Yun Yin. Jiang Yinyan shared a location with Old Lu and commanded, "Follow this location and simultaneously find out who she met today." Doing several things at once was Old Lu's skill, and the most important reason why he could be Jiang Yinyan's right-hand man. Soon, Old Lu found out. He put the call with the operative on speaker, so Jiang Yinyan could also hear. The subordinate reported, "Miss Yu only met director by today. We traced Miss Yu's movements through nearby surveillance. Her shopping seemed normal, and then Miss Yu got into a car." Old Lu asked the person to send him the license plate number. Soon, a photo appeared on the phone. It was a high-definition photo from a traffic camera, and the license plate number was clearly visible. Jiang Yinyan stared at the license plate number, his face grim. After that, Old Lu received another message and told Jiang Yinyan, "It's confirmed she didn't get out of the car. That car drove in the opposite direction. If my judgment is correct, Miss Yu was originally taking a taxi to the restaurant." Jiang Yinyan thought for a moment. "The car won't be easy to trace, will it?" "Yes," Old Lu said, and with one hand, he sent Jiang Yinyan a set of videos. This car drove into a camera blind spot. After that, it was never found by cameras again. Most likely, the license plate was changed. Find the owner. Soon, Old Lu found the car owner's information. It's Li Bai, CEO Wang's subordinate. She caused a commotion at the hospital last night and was fired this morning. Jiang Yinyan narrowed his eyes slightly. It took him a while to recall what the person looked like, and his expression grew even colder. Have someone investigate this person's background as soon as possible, and everyone she usually interacts with, openly or secretly. Investigate thoroughly. Old Lu understood Jiang Yinyan's meaning. To openly abduct someone like this, there must be a backup plan. With such elaborate effort, it was impossible to say she wasn't instigated by someone behind the scenes. Yes. When Yun Yin regained consciousness, she found she was no longer in the car. She was in a room. The light was dim. With the curtains drawn, she couldn't see what was happening outside. Once her eyes adjusted, she noticed the room was very simple. Simple tables and chairs, and a large bed on which she currently lay. It wasn't an abandoned house or a dirty place, as she had imagined. Although the room's furnishings were simple, it was very clean, and there was a faint smell of dry hay. Yun Yin tried to move her limbs, but found it futile. Her limbs felt like they weren't her own. She couldn't move them at all, and could only lie there. But she could speak. She made a soft sound, and found her throat was fine. Just as she was feeling anxious and uneasy, the room door was pushed open. Yun Yin immediately closed her eyes, adopting a strategy of feigning stillness to observe. She'd assessed the situation first. Footsteps entered. More than one person. Then she heard Li Bai speak. "Brother Cohen, you see, I've brought this person for you. About my matter. What's the rush? Do you think I go back on my word?" The man called Brother Cohen growled. "This girl hasn't woken up. She won't become a fool or an idiot after waking up, will she? I'm warning you. I want her alive and fresh. Do you understand what alive and fresh means?" I understand. Of course I know your preferences, Brother Cohen. I absolutely trust you, Brother Cohen. It's not convenient for me to stay here too long," Li Bai said subserviently. Brother Kuan made no sound. The room was dark, which was why Yunyan dared to open her eyes into a slit to peek. It was a burly man quite tall. She couldn't see his face because he was facing Li Bai. He was touching Li Bai, and his laughter began to turn lewd. You don't want to stay here and want to go back? Aren't you afraid CEO Wang will come looking for trouble? Brother Kuan continued to be touchy-feely with Li Bai, saying things that were completely out of line. Then you've got to let me have some fun, right? How long has it been since we last saw each other? Don't you miss me? Oh, Brother Kuan, you'd still look at me? Isn't that one lying over there? Don't waste your excitement on me. Li Bai tried to appease him. He saw right through her intentions, and he wasn't a patient man. He immediately turned hostile. What the hell are you being coy for? You want to play the whore and still pretend to be a lady, huh? If you don't want to get fucked, don't you dare come begging me. Brother Kuan, please don't be angry. Next, she began to cozy up to Brother Kuan. They're not going to put on a passionate show right here, are they? Yunyan thought. Fortunately, the man called Brother Kuan took Li Bai away, allowing Yunyan to breathe a slight sigh of relief. Someone must have been guarding outside the bedroom. She heard Brother Kuan give an order, shout for me if there's any movement inside. Judging by the answering voices, there were two people. They really thought highly of her. Drugged, and with two men assigned to watch her. Did they think she was a martial artist who could scale walls? Before long, Yunyan vaguely heard a commotion. A woman's moans. A shiver ran down Yunyan's spine. Was this an ordinary private residence? The sound must have been coming from another room. Yunyan's scalp tightened. Then she heard the man roar again. Scream for me, damn it. She seemed to hear the sound of a belt striking flesh. The woman's moans changed, becoming hysterical. Yunyan was almost scared out of her wits, and recalling Li Bai's earlier words filled her with even greater dread. It seemed Li Bai was talking about Brother Kuan after all. What should I do? The two men by the bedroom door started chatting. Brother Kuan's tormenting someone again. Wonder if that woman will come out in one piece. Isn't that just Brother Kuan's preference? I think Brother Kuan knows that woman. She's probably just an appetizer. He won't waste too much energy. Isn't the main course right here in the room? Yunyan secretly prayed in her heart, hoping Brother Kuan would take a long time. But who was she expecting to rescue her? Jiang Yinyan's face inadvertently popped into her mind. She hadn't shown up for their appointment. Jiang Yinyan should be able to trace her whereabouts, right? Did he already know she was in danger? She didn't know why, but Yunyan subconsciously always wanted to buy time for Jiang Yinyan. Even though he was a jerk now, even though he always hurt her. But deep down, she firmly believed Jiang Yinyan would come, just like before. In the past, whenever she encountered danger, Jiang Yinyan, would rush to her rescue, even from 1,000 miles away. Through the door, Yunyan heard Li Bai's screams growing louder. That Brother Kuan truly had this fetish. The louder the other person screamed, the more excited he became. Li Bai was begging for mercy, crying and wailing. A little while later, she heard grumbling and cursing from outside the door. Damn it, if you're going to beg me for help, you should have thought about this. Like a dead fish, you really spoil my fun. Yunyan felt a jolt. No way, it's over already? She heard footsteps approaching. Yunyan quickly closed her eyes again. She roughly estimated this Brother Kuan at most 10 minutes. But the people at the door didn't forget to flatter him. Brother Kuan is mighty. That woman was screaming her head off because of you. Of course our Brother Kuan is capable. Yunyan felt like throwing up. These words seemed to please Brother Kuan greatly. His tone sounded quite joyful as he asked, is the one inside awake yet? Haven't heard any movement. Damn it, did that bitch drug her too heavily? If she's half dead when she's handed over to me, I'll finish her off. As his words fell, the bedroom door was pushed open. Yunyan immediately tensed up. She almost held her breath. Soon, a man's hand stroked her face. His fingers still carried a woman's perfume. It was Li Bai's. Yunyan almost wanted to vomit. If possible, she truly wanted to spit in his face. Brother Kuan clicked his tongue twice. Her skin is really smooth. Women raised in wealthy families are just different. I'm going to have a good time today. Yunyan tried her best to control her emotions, keeping her eyes closed the entire time. Brother Kuan withdrew his hand. Yunyan didn't open her eyes, but she knew he hadn't left. Her heart was pounding. Doesn't he like women to scream? Now she's more dead than a dead fish. He shouldn't be interested, right? For someone with a fetish, going against his preferences was the best way to protect herself. But frankly, this wasn't a long-term solution. If she couldn't wait for Jiang Yinyan to arrive, what should she do? If she truly couldn't escape, then her only thought was survive. No matter what, she had to survive. Then she heard Brother Kuan coldly command, bring that bitch in here. Soon, Li Bai was dragged in. Yunyan still didn't dare to open her eyes, so she didn't know Li Bai's current state. Li Bai did speak, weakly, Brother Kuan. Judging by the sound, she had clearly been thoroughly tormented. After Jiang Yinyan, Yunyan wasn't entirely without experience. Jiang Yinyan had no special fetishes in bed, so she felt her suffering was solely due to being unable to withstand his large appetite, nothing more. But Brother Cohen was clearly different. She remembered that back in the socialite circle, there was an older sister who was quite promiscuous and spoke quite boldly. That sister had several boyfriends and shared that truly strong men in bed didn't need so many tricks. The less capable ones had more tricks and stronger fetishes. Look at those eunuchs in the palace back then. Which of the palace maids they paired up with wasn't covered in bruises? Yin thought, this Brother Cohen is most likely the latter, and his subordinates were constantly flattering him. People, you see, lose themselves after hearing too many compliments, forgetting what they're truly like. Why isn't she awake yet? How much damn drug did you give her? Are you intentionally preventing me from having fun, huh? Levi panicked. Brother Cohen, how would I dare? She was still conscious in the car. She's just faking it. Yunyan wished she could strangle Levi. Faking it. Brother Cohen sneered, then I'll give it a try. With that, he sat down next to her. Yunyan's scalp tightened. Just as she was dreading whether he would strip her clothes off right there, she felt a man's hand suddenly seize her neck and tighten its grip. Immediately, Yunyan couldn't breathe. She tried to raise her hand to resist, but her limbs remained weak. The man tightened his grip, a savage grin on his face. Yunyan could no longer pretend. She was being choked to the point of near unconsciousness. She had no choice but to open her eyes. Seeing her open her eyes, the man finally loosened his hand and burst into laughter. She really was faking it. Clever bitch, aren't you? Levi seemed to relax at once, collapsing onto the floor.